Yeah, good morning, Tamanna. I think clearly, the kind of valuations we have seen on Bajaj Housing clearly reflects the kind of appetite, both the institutional and retail investors currently have for the company. I think the housing finance market, Tamanna, is a very big opportunity. There's a very strong runway available for the company. And I think the markets are looking at the next 2 to 3 years. I think, if you look at how Bajaj Finance has rewarded its shareholders, I think markets are expecting that Bajaj Housing could also be another opportunity of that sort. And that is why today valuations don't matter. I think, today, despite the fact that, as you mentioned, that, the market capitalization of Bajaj Housing is more than 10 other housing finance company put together, I think markets would also look at the growth quotient. I would not be surprised that over the next, say, 3 years, even at these odd levels, there could be a decent amount of money to be made. The company has a very large, AUM, a very strong runway for growth. So I think ideal investor should obviously look at, accumulating the stock in a small SIP manner. Maybe the stock could also correct. It's not that you see these 10% moves almost every single day. So, this is just the first reaction after the public issue. But you could get opportunities where the stock could average around 150 to 160 odd level. Then that could be the base level. So I think, longer term, yes, the opportunity is large. But in the near term, these volatile moves and these absurd kind of valuations will continue. Markets are now looking clearly at growth. So valuations don't matter. It's a matter of time before, numbers come in. Yes, but it puts a lot of pressure on the management to deliver on the numbers because, in case there's a slight deceleration in growth, I think the markets would obviously also punish these stocks very badly. So I think you'll have to look at the numbers very closely and how the management delivers going forward. So I think, Tamanna, my guess is, this is a extremely pessimistic scenario. I think although competitive intensity in the premium bikes has increased, I believe, Bajaj Auto has got a very strong product on the table. I mean, obviously, pricing has been aggressive, and the success of these models will be decided in the coming 3 to 6 months. So I think in the very short term, this kind of aggressive cut, by CLSA may look a little odd, and I would not be surprised that the markets would like to give the company an opportunity to actually deliver on the numbers. I think in the two-wheeler market, Bajaj Auto continues to record healthy volume growth. They have a well diversified product, kind of bouquet. And I think these new products are going to actually accelerate growth. So I think, at least in the very short term, I don't expect any major negative surprise in the medium to longer term. That is at least over the next, say, 6 to 8 months. The success of these products is going to be critical. If we don't see any decent volume growth and the market does not welcome these products, then only I would believe that we could see such kind of aggressive downturns in the stock price. But otherwise, I think Bajaj is on a very strong wicket. I think if the stock at all corrects, marginally or moderately today, I think longer term investors should actually use this as a buying opportunity. I'm pretty positive on the company. And I mean, it's a matter of time before we see the volumes from these products kicking. I think longer term, Neeraj, I think M&M definitely deserves to be added in your portfolio. I would believe that it's got a very diversified product base, a very strong balance sheet, and I think as you rightly mentioned, despite the fact that most of the auto companies, including M&M, have cut prices, because supplies have become more smoother now. Markets are not working in supply crunch driven kind of scenario. So, despite that fact, volume growth for M&M is going to be quite promising. I think apart from the fact that both the agri as well as the UV segment is doing well, they've also made a conscious effort to aggressively move into the electric vehicle category. So I think, you're going to see a lot of action in terms of product development, in terms of new product launches. So I would continue to be positive on M&M. I think you need to give in a slightly longer term kind of time frame, at least the next 12 to 15 months because the stock will consolidate initially. And as you rightly mentioned, there's been a sluggishness in the auto pack largely because there have been some news reports, specifically for passenger car companies, that a lot of inventories have got piled up at the dealers' ends. So this gives you clearly a slight uncomfortable feeling. But I think probably now the festive seasons months are going to start from October onwards, and I think you could see a decent pickup in the auto volumes. So I think despite price cuts, volume growth should be in strong double digits. So my M&M is a buy. I would suggest that it is a must for your portfolio, provided you have a time frame of next 12 to 15. No, I think Neeraj, I would be a little cautious even now on IT, and I think large cap IT definitely has a good value proposition as of now. Provided the timeline is slightly longer, I don't think any big fireworks in the short term. But I think as Puneet was mentioning that a lot of bundle deals could come into TCS very shortly. I think the bigger opportunity could be after the presidential elections. A lot of uncertainty could get cleared, and I think after that, possibly a lot of deal signing up, a lot of unrealized kind of project work could get transferred to large companies like TCS, Infosys, HCL Tech. So we are probably waiting for this event to unfold. I think the Fed decision is one point, but I think a bigger opportunity for IT companies is once the presidential elections are over, and then I think you could see a little more stronger visibility from the US market, which is one of the largest market for Indian IT companies. So we are long-term positive, but yes, in the short term, I would not be surprised that this note or maybe the view which is being put out here is going to result in a kind of a runaway rally for the stock. So it's better to put on hold. I would prefer to wait for some time and then take a call, for the longer term. I think within the PSU basket, we are positive on power generators like NTPC, typically even a Torrent Power. Our sense is that, some news flow has come in today that Tata Power plans to invest about 75,000 crores for its green initiative. So I think, definitely, these companies should be in the limelight. But as far as cement is concerned, we continue to be positive on smaller cement players like Heidelberg Cement. I my sense is that the second half now is going to be the busy season for most of the cement companies. So I think even at the current odd levels, if one were to take the next 12 to 15 months, we are looking at a fair value of about 290 to 300. So I think select pockets should do well. I think today's market is of course very volatile and wobbly. But if one were to look at delivery trades, I think definitely something like a Torrent Power, typically a Torrent Power, as well as something like a Heidelberg Cement. I think one should accumulate over the longer term. I think clearly one could see good amount of value coming in here. So I think BSC definitely should benefit Tamanna. I think clearly, NSE is an issue which was longly awaited, and I think now with all the regulatory hurdles going out, I think BSC on its own has been doing pretty well. The derivative turnover has gone up. I think clearly in terms of the competitive positioning, apart from NSE and BSE, there's hardly any competition. So just like CDSL, which is like a quasi monopoly business, I think BSE stands out. If at all the market does well, more investors enter the market. So BSE should be a good compounder over the longer term. As far as Ola Electric is concerned, I think this is a futuristic stock. Somebody who has a 2 to 3 year kind of timeline can definitely consider this as a contra call, because currently the electric vehicle business is just at the starting tipping point of growth in India. Over the next say 3 to 5 years, if everything goes well, if Ola Electric delivers as per what their target plans are, then I think there's a huge runway to be done by the company. As of now, I think there are no data points to justify this stock on fundamentals. But yes, from a long-term perspective of the next 2 to 3 years, if they start generating good amount of profitability, then I think definitely the potential is there. They have one of the largest base in the country, and I think obviously they should do well. But yes, this is going to be a longer term story. In the short term, the stock will continue to remain volatile.